Hey everyone, welcome back.
Yeah.
Today we're going deep on something pretty huge.
Huge and also really personal.
Yeah, parents' love.
Exactly. It's universal, but also so individual.
Right. We've got this conversation we're going to unpack, and it is so insightful about what makes this kind of love so different from all the others.
Yeah. And one story that really stuck with me from this one was about this mom.
Oh, yeah.
During a winter, when the heater broke and she was sleeping in the coldest room so her kids could stay warm.
Wow. Talk about putting your kids first.
Seriously, though it's such a powerful image, right?
Absolutely. It really gets to the heart of what makes parents' love so special.
It does.
So let's start with the basics. What is it about parents' love that makes it stand out?
Well, this conversation really hit on how unconditional it is. It's a love that just keeps going.
No matter what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through thick and thin, mistakes, arguments, all those phases we all go through as kids, it's not like you got to earn it. It's just there.
Like a constant.
It's always there. And it's not always big pronouncements and stuff.
It's more about the actions.
Yeah, for sure. The conversation is full of examples about parents working multiple jobs to give their kids opportunities or putting their own dreams on hold.
So the kids can chase theirs.
Right. It's about just being there every single day.
Providing that solid foundation.
You got it.
But it's funny, though, how when we're kids, we don't always see those everyday things as love. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like we kind of expect it to just be there. So
Yeah.
we don't always think about all the effort and thought behind it.
It's true. And I think that's where the whole idea of taking parents' love for granted comes in. And the conversation had that story about the teenager arguing with their mom.
Oh, right. The party.
Yeah, about not being allowed to go to a party.
The teenager's just focused on the no,
Exactly.
but totally misses the point.
The love behind it.
The concern, yeah, it makes you think, how often do we do that, even as adults?
All the time, I bet.
It's something to think about for sure. The conversation also brings up the regret that some people feel when they realize they didn't appreciate their parents enough.
While they had them.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to be present.
And to cherish every moment.
Totally. So we've talked about how parents' love is special and unconditional, but what can we learn from it? What really stood out to you?
Well, one thing was resilience.
Okay.
And it's not just that they're tough. It's how they handle the tough times. That's the lesson. Like that dad who helped his kid after they failed a test.
Yeah.
He doesn't freak out. He turns it into a teaching moment.
That's so important.
It shows kids that you can bounce back.
It's like parents have this emotional intelligence.
Exactly. They stay calm when things get rough, and that helps their kids so much.
For sure. And then there's patience. I mean, that comes up again and again in this conversation.
Oh, totally. It's like parents have an endless supply of patience.
Especially when their kids are growing up.
They get that learning takes time.
Right. It's not always a straight line.
And they're there every step of the way, cheering their kids on.
And let's not forget the selflessness.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
built into their DNA.
They put their kids' needs first constantly.
And it's not always big things either. It's the little things.
Like working extra hours.
Or making their kids' favorite meal.
It's all about putting someone else first.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of another important lesson. Forgiveness.
Ooh, good one.
Parents seem to have this amazing ability to forgive even when their kids mess up.
They show how important it is to stay connected.
Instead of getting stuck in anger and resentment.
Like they understand that everyone makes mistakes.
Especially young people.
Right.
So instead of focusing on the mistake, they focus on how to move forward.
It's a powerful lesson in letting go.
It is. And speaking of powerful, the conversation also highlights the importance of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
There was that story about the mom who was just happy knowing her child was living a good life.
You're so sweet.
It really touched me. It's a reminder to appreciate the simple things.
And to find joy in our loved ones' happiness.
Yeah. Before we move on, I'm curious. What's the biggest lesson your parents' love has taught you?
Ooh, that's a good question. For me, I think it's the importance of showing up,
Yeah.
being there even when things are tough.
Okay.
My parents have always been there for me no matter what. And that consistency has taught me the value of just being there for someone unconditionally.
I love that. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most important things are the ones we take for granted.
Absolutely. It's like you said, that solid foundation.
And once we recognize those lessons, it makes sense that we want to show our gratitude.
Of course.
But how do we do that in a way that really means something to our parents? How do we let them know we see and appreciate their love and all they've done?
Well, the conversation makes it clear that it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture.
Right.
It's the little everyday things that matter most.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, well, even just a quick phone call,
Oh, yeah.
just checking in, hearing their voice, letting them know you're thinking about them, that can really make their day.
And spending quality time together.
Yes. Even if it's just watching a movie or something, it shows you value their company.
What about helping out with stuff they might struggle with?
Like setting up a new phone or running errands.
Yeah, that shows you recognize their needs and you're willing to help out, just like they've done for us our whole lives.
Exactly. Those little acts of service speak volumes. And sometimes the best way to express gratitude is just to say it.
To say thank you.
Yeah. Or write them a heartfelt letter. Tell them what you appreciate about them.
The sacrifices they've made, the lessons they've taught.
Exactly. It's about making them feel seen and appreciated for everything they are.
So before we move on to some of the other great insights from this conversation, I want to leave you with this. What's one thing you can do this week to show your parents gratitude?
It really doesn't have to be anything big, even a quick call or text.
Just let them know you're thinking of them.
It can make a world of difference.
It's a challenge, but a worthwhile one.
Definitely.
Because ultimately this conversation reminds us that parents' love is precious.
So proud.
We should never, ever take it for granted.
And that brings us to another really interesting point from this conversation.
Okay.
It's about how parents' love can be a healing force.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like even in relationships that are struggling.
Exactly. The conversation mentions how showing gratitude can sometimes open the door to forgiveness and reconciliation.
So it's never too late to start rebuilding those bonds.
Even if there's been hurt or distance in the past.
It's a reminder that love and understanding can heal a lot of wounds.
It can, and it brings us right back to the heart of this whole deep dive.
Which is,
Parents' love is powerful.
it really is.
It shapes us, influences our values, and it stays with us forever.
So as we get ready to move into the next part of our deep dive, I encourage you to think about what your parents' love has meant to you.
How has it impacted your life?
What lessons have you learned?
And how can you carry those lessons forward, not just for yourself, but for the people around you?
It's a question worth pondering as we head back into our busy lives. Thanks for joining us for this exploration of one of life's greatest gifts, the love between a parent and child.
It's been a good one so far.
It has. And we're not done yet. We'll be back with more insights and reflections in just a bit.
See you soon. It's funny how this conversation talks about that, like, almost mystical connection between parents and kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they just know when something's up, even if they're miles away.
Totally. It's like they have this sixth sense for their kids' well-being. I can't tell you how many times my mom called me right when I was going through something tough.
Really?
And I hadn't even said a word to her about it.
It's wild, isn't it? Like, how do they do that? Is it intuition or just, like, years of knowing you so well?
Maybe both.
Probably.
Yeah.
And that bond doesn't just disappear when we grow up and move out either.
True. Even as adults, our parents are still there for us.
Yeah, just in different ways.
Right. The conversation talks about how that love changes as we become adults.
It adapts.
Yeah. It grows along with the relationship.
Which is kind of comforting when you think about it.
It is. Because let's be real, no parent-child relationship is perfect.
Oh, no, definitely not.
There are going to be bumps in the road.
Disagreements, arguments, maybe even times when you don't talk for a while.
That's all part of it.
It's normal. Family dynamics can be messy.
Sure. But going through those ups and downs is actually what brings you closer in the end.
You think so?
I do. And that's when those lessons we talked about earlier, like resilience, patience, forgiveness, they become even more important.
To help you get through those rough patches.
Exactly. It's how we learn to communicate better, to compromise, to see things from someone else's point of view.
And it's usually in those tough moments that we really realize how deep our parents' love is.
Yeah. They're there for us no matter what, offering support but not judging.
They're like our biggest fans.
Our safe space.
Always in our corner.
It's such a gift to have that kind of unconditional support.
You really realize how lucky you are to have parents who love you that much.
Even when you're not always the easiest person to love.
Exactly. And the conversation also talks about how important it is to give that love back.
Oh, yeah. To show our appreciation.
And it doesn't have to be anything big.
The little things matter.
Like making time for a phone call.
Offering to help out with chores.
Just saying, I love you. It's all about making them feel appreciated.
And creating memories.
Oh, yeah. Time is precious. We never know how much we have.
That's true. So let's make the most of it.
Spend time with them.
Let them know how much they mean to us.
It's a powerful message.
And the conversation really drives it home. The love between a parent and a child is something special.
It shapes who we are.
It gives us our values.
It stays with us forever.
So as we get ready to wrap up our deep dive, let's take a minute to think about the impact of parents' love,
All the sacrifices they've made,
the lessons they've taught,
through constant support,
and let's find ways to honor that love,
not just today.
but every day, because it's a gift.
A gift we should cherish.
You know what's really cool about this conversation?
What's that?
It shows both the big picture of parents' love and the little everyday moments.
Yeah, I get that. It's both like this grand sweeping thing, it's about the tiny details.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so relatable, you know?
We've all experienced those big things like sacrifice and forgiveness, but then there's little stories that just hit you in the feels.
Totally. Like that story about the mom making her kids' favorite food when they were down.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a simple thing, but it says so much.
It shows how parents just know how to comfort us.
Instinctively.
Yeah. It's like they have this superpower.
And those little things, those almost unspoken acts of love, they stick with us.
They really do. They become part of who we are.
I think that's what makes this conversation so important.
How so?
It reminds us to appreciate those small moments.
To see the love that's poured into them.
Because sometimes it's easy to miss.
It's true.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in the hustle and bustle.
We need to train ourselves to slow down and notice those little things.
To see the extraordinary in the ordinary.
To be grateful not just for the big milestones, but for all those little ways our parents make our lives better.
Because when we do that, it changes everything.
It does. It deepens our appreciation, makes our bond stronger, and it inspires us to be more loving people ourselves.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It really is. And I think that's one of the most powerful takeaways from this whole conversation.
What is?
That parents' love isn't just something we receive. It's something we carry with us.
It shapes who we become.
And how we treat other people.
It becomes part of our legacy.
We can choose to honor that love, to nurture it, to pass it on.
Oh, wow. That's pretty powerful.
It is. The idea that the love we receive from our parents can touch other people's lives too.
It's a ripple effect.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into parents' love, I want you to take a moment and think about what your parents' love has meant to you.
How has it shaped your journey?
What have you learned from it?
And how can you take those lessons and use them to make the world a better place?
It's something to think about as we go back to our lives.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been a privilege to explore this incredible bond with you.
The love between a parent and child is truly a gift.
A gift we should never take for granted.
Until next time.
Take care, everyone.